This is Brian E. Muhammad with NNV News, and you're watching Global View, where we talk about all things international. As you know, we are looking at and celebrating the uh, uh, life of President Jerry John Rawlings, the past president of the Republic of Ghana, who passed away a couple of weeks ago now. And we want to talk about him today and a few other things going on the African continent. And today we'll be speaking to our special guest, uh, Akbar Muhammad, who is the international representative of the Nation of Islam. Welcome,
Yeah,
Akbar.
thank you. Can you hear me okay?
You're coming in clear. Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
we have this crackling sound on my end breaking up, but if you can hear me, I will go forward. I don't know if it's on your end, but
No, you're doing fine. It's not too bad at all. So I think we'll have a good broadcast.
okay. So I will go on. When you talk, Brian, the crackling sound comes in very strong. I didn't know if you could hear it over my voice. But
Uh,
first, I want to thank you very much for inviting me on the show to discuss the life of uh, President Jerry John Rawlings, a brother who is very dear to me and the nation, and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. His untimely death, it was a shock to us all, and they're still sorting out how they will release the cause of his death, which they said one thing in the beginning and it was withdrawn. But we can talk about his life, his impact on Africans in the diaspora, and his great work for Ghana. He definitely impacted Ghana as no other president or leader of Ghana before him. And then he opened up the door. Minister Farrakhan was invited to Ghana on Kwame Nkrumah's 80th birthday, and they had it at the National Conference Center. And in 1997,
94.
94,
Yes.
we had our unbelievable Savior's Day in Ghana, where we brought 1,800 people, but in the arena that afternoon, there may have been 40,000 people with the Ghanaians coming. When we returned to Ghana for Kwame Nkrumah's birthday, his 80th birthday, Rawlings asked the minister, we were discussing in the lounge before we caught a plane to Burkina Faso for a meeting with the late Thomas Sankara, who was a brother and a friend of Jerry Rawlings. So he arranged for us to go to Ouagadougou to meet with him. And while we were in the conference room with a number of discussions about the minister's speech and how we viewed Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, President Rawlings asked Minister Farrakhan, and this is close to me because it involves me. He asked Minister Farrakhan, do you have an office in Africa? And the minister replied, no, we don't. And the next thing he said was, why don't you open an office in Africa and make it here in Ghana? And the minister thought for a minute, and the minister said, I would like to do that. I welcome that idea. And the rest is history. The minister ended up asking me if I would come to Ghana and open the office. And of course, I said, of course, Brother Minister, I'd be happy to. And Rawlings opened that door for us. He looked out for us in every way that he could. He made sure that we were invited to official gatherings. I just viewed a picture at a gathering that he had at Black Star Square, or Independence Square as they call it now, that he invited me to the podium to speak, which was a great honor to me. And when the minister had difficulty in Nigeria, Brother Rollins opened the door for him to come from Nigeria to Ghana. And he listened to him and watched his movement. And he ended up at the speech the minister delivered in front of the military, at the military headquarters. He ended up saying to the people who were present that when they say do A, I do Z. He said, and this is because of the propaganda around the minister being a troublemaker and so forth. He said that I only find him a noble son of Africa. So I wanted to give you that part because I think when this history is recorded, people will remember how Rollins invited us in and then let the minister address his military and described him as a noble son of Africa.
Yes, sir. And Brother Akbar, you know, as you was talking about that history and you was talking about this move that President Rawlings made to invite the minister to open an office in Ghana, which eventually became the base of the work in Africa. And I wanted to ask you if you can talk about the significance of such a move, because going back to the early 19th century, and of course, we're going to talk about W.E.B. Du Bois in the course of our conversation, but you had W.E.B. Du Bois, you had Martin Delany, you had a few people early on in the history that was making these connections with Africa. So can you talk to our audience about the significance of the move that President Rawlings made with the minister along those lines?
Right. It was a major move because I believe that he took a page from Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, who felt that the Africans in the diaspora needed to be involved in Ghana, or Africa, I should say better. And this is why George Padmore came to Ghana, because that idea that Kwame Nkrumah had, Rollins built on it as he interacted with us. And I've mentioned in many of my talks when I would come back to America, how Rollins opened the door for us to be involved in Ghana, the development and schooling and education and medical. And he invited Africans from the diaspora. And what was so unique is that when we brought delegations, and Brian, you are a witness, that he would invite us to his office at the castle to have discussions. One of the things that he did, we gathered, you may remember, doctors, Brian, and
Yes.
most doctors were from Howard, one from Harlem Hospital. And those doctors came to see how they could be of help and service Ghana. And we went to the Volta region and the doctors made their report. Dr. Massac, Etienne Massac, who was a surgeon from Howard, he was involved in getting the doctors together. Then there was Eugene Jackson, who wanted to come in and see the kind of business that he could do in Ghana, and Rollins opened the door to him. So the impact was unbelievable. I never forget how Gary Bird from New York came to Ghana, and I recently looked at a picture with Rollins honoring him and putting something, one of the beads around his neck as a brother from the diaspora. Rollins helped with the Panafest. And then when we brought Isaac Hayes and Dionne Warwick, he took Isaac up in a flight, him being a pilot, and welcomed them to the castle and came to their show at the center, the National Conference Center. So he's been on point with that. You heard Attorney Robert Bennett talk about his interaction with Rollins and helping him in projects that he felt would be beneficial for the Ghanaian people. So he's been a brother and friend. He came to Chicago. He had dinner with the minister at the National House. He stayed on the farm with the minister, which was an unbelievable trip. And this is why the minister saw him as a genuine brother who was concerned of how we could best build the bridges with our African brothers and those in the diaspora.
Mm. And that's an important point that you're making.
Excuse me, Brother
This,
Brian. Excuse me.
yes.
When you talk, it's crackling. I can't hear your question. We had it
Oh,
earlier,
okay.
and so when you every time you talk, there's this crackling sound where I can not hear you.
Okay, we'll try to fix that. The brothers are working in the they'll try to fix that as we go along. Thank you. So what I was going to ask you, talking about the visits of President Rawlings coming to the United States and interacting with the minister in his home, and it showed the relationship between the Nation of Islam wasn't necessarily a political one, but it was based in the friendship and the brotherhood of the two men. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely agree. Um, our first move was I saw that the culture of blacks in the diaspora, in particular American, they um, they gravitated towards our culture. So if you remember, we started off with Jermaine Jackson and
Mm.
our um, beautiful brother, Supreme Captain. They came to Ghana, and the people went crazy. And then the next cultural thing we did was Isaac Hayes and Dionne Warwick. And so it wasn't that we went there and we started talking politics immediately, but the cultural bond and the love of the people, of the Black Americans in particular, and their cultural expression. But no, we didn't go and engage in political dynamics, which in that country we don't know that much about it. And to wade in that water would not help the efforts that Rawlings was making to build the bridges with Black Americans.
The cultural dynamic was very important, and of course I remember there was many more people that you were responsible for bringing. Brother Akbar, the Public Enemy, and you hear Chuck and 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 others who are part of Public Enemy talk to this day about their experience of coming to Ghana at your invitation, and the work that you put in, and which leads me to my next question in terms of the importance of the people's this people to people connection, you know and us being able to come together as people who've been away for centuries now and reconnecting with our brothers and sisters on the continent. um you were at the forefront of that work, and still is, and so I wanted you to continue to talk about that some, to really give our people, our audience, um the priority, or the reason why this is so important, why it's paramount that we make this connection.
Brian, I couldn't hear all of your question. That clicking sound dominated your voice, but let me answer what I did hear. One of the, when you go to Ghana, in particular Ghana, I know there's slave dungeons in Goree Island and there's other slave dungeons in Nigeria and maybe a few scattered along the coast. But the ones in Ghana are special. Number one, they built them on some sandstone, very hard rock, and they survived the erosion, the sea erosion that many of the others. But when you take those brothers and sisters from the diaspora to the slave dungeons and walk through those slave dungeons and get the history of what we suffered, the connection is unbelievable. Isaac Hayes, when he came out and he sat on those steps, and I keep saying to myself, I got to work on getting the film of Isaac Hayes, and very important. And he said on those steps, he said, now I feel complete. He said, always there was something missing in my life that I didn't understand about our struggle in America, etc. But after coming out of the slave dungeon, he said, now I feel complete. So this, and I thank the minister, number one, because he sent me there. And I thank Allah for blessing me and the brothers and sisters and yourself and Velma and James and all Dave, all the brothers and sisters who came, moved to Ghana and said that we want to help you in this mission in Ghana for the Nation of Islam. So it's an unbelievable story, Brian, and you as a writer and myself as a writer, we have to write that part of the history, the impact, all of those people coming on the plane. And I understand now the Savior's Day convention in Ghana is on one of Netflix or one of the, do you know about it, Brian? I can't hear.
Some of the platforms like YouTube, you can look at the opening session, because we were there October the 6th through the 9th, and the opening session with the minister and President Rawlings. The main address may be up as well. I know it's available. I mean, and if they can't find it online, they can certainly go to finalcall.com and go to the store on that website and order it. It's definitely available.
Okay, I hope the technicians, I couldn't hear a word you said, Brian. It's just a cracking sound. If the technicians can look into it, or someone who is in the audience also can send a text. So we have to see if I can hear the next question.
Okay.
If I can hear then I could answer it, but I'll go on because there's some other things that Rollins did for the nation. And this is why the minister was so concerned whether he could get to Ghana for his funeral service, which now seems unlikely with the way that the pandemic is going. So Brian, if you could move to the next question and let's see if that problem eliminated.
Sure. Well, what I do want to talk to you about, one of the initiatives that President Rawlings was responsible for was the memorial place for the great W.E.B. Du Bois. And we know that that institution has been a central institution for those of us in the diaspora and for our brothers and sisters on the continent to study W.E.B. Du Bois, to learn about him and him as an example of what I would call Black internationalism. There is a move right now that is being undertaken to build that into a museum, a larger institution. There's some dynamics about it that some may disagree with. And I wanted to give you a chance to talk about the W.E.B. Du Bois Center and the current controversy that is around that right now.
Okay. One of the best examples of this is the Museum of African American History that recently opened in Washington, D.C. When the idea came up, and Smithsonian and other foundations that funded it, the first thing they did was talk to the leaders and the historians in our community. And I know that to be a fact because the young lady who was the curator for the section that they would give information on the Nation of Islam came to me in Baltimore. I introduced her to Brother Carlos, and they wanted to know some ideas about the nation and how they should display it. And they went to others. So here in Ghana, I hear that this idea was offered. It may be a good idea, it may be something good, but the way that the people who are working with this foundation went about it was absolutely incorrect. And instead of having people challenging them and fighting with them, they should have had transparency. They should say, this is what we want to do. This is the money we want to spend. These are the designs and the plans we have. We want to share it with you. If it's a genuine effort, but if there's some other thing that they have behind it that is not so genuine, then they won't do the things that represent transparency. And that is a great concern. Um, I used to bring the groups, and one of the places I would go was the Du Bois Center. And I would let the guide who didn't have, a tremendous knowledge of Du Bois, but they were good and they were doing the best they could. They were being taught and mentored by the historians who were available to do it about the life of Du Bois. And I think that in respect for the thousands of brothers and sisters throughout the diaspora, not only North America and Canada, but the Caribbean and London, that we inspired to come to Africa, that we looked out for them and we took them to the Du Bois Center. And they paid the fees. And if there's going to be a major change to the center and they're rebuilding one, I think that it would be proper that you tell the people who have been there. I lived in Ghana for 12 years and I'm back in America. And when I heard it, I felt a little slighted myself that they, and me as an individual and hundreds of others, that no one consulted with us. They told us what they were going to do, and that was it. And then they put a few Black Americans, I saw their names on there, and those Black Americans didn't talk to us about it. Daniel McGathy and his wife Nell, who worked for the State Department, I can't name the branch, but they lived there for years. And I wonder, and I'm going to reach out for them, did anybody mention what they're doing? They have retired now with the Du Bois Center. So I think that it's something that we need to look at. They took the name Pan-African off, what they're doing. And it was the Pan-African Cultural Center. And they took that name off. And so I think that we need to work through it. I think that there should be meetings, not shouting matches, and to talk about how we can best facilitate if the intentions are good, or is there something else we can do to satisfy the people who have been involved in, with W.E.B. Du Bois's life and his work in Ghana.
That's so paramount. That's key. And you know, as we move forward, with this, there's always been this kind of ongoing battle, between Africa in particular and Europe rather in particular. In other countries you have the return of artifacts, you have the so do you think that there is just this kind of genuine disrespect of our legacy and the legacy of our heroes and those who served like W.E.B. Du Bois?
Brian, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes, sir.
Okay, I couldn't hear one word you said. I'm sorry.
Wow. Okay,
Now,
no problem.
I was
I
just trying to send you a text
okay.
to tell you that there's a technical problem. All I can hear is um, like click songs. Every time you say a word, it's not a
Wow.
word that comes up with a click song. So
I
maybe
see.
my description will give the technicians an idea
Okay.
of what's happening.
Okay. Yeah, we'll work on that. Hopefully it's not coming through on the live broadcast, so when people see it afterwards, it will not be there. Hopefully. But we're perfecting our technology and our craft, so we're gonna try to make it happen. So,
Oh,
can you hear me now, okay, Brother Akbar?
well, Brian, I can't, being that I cannot hear you, there's two things I want to cover. In 1993, President Rawlings invited me to go to the African Union conference in Cairo. They were celebrating, I think, the 30th year. The African OAU started in 1963, and their first summit was 1964. And he invited me to go to the 30th anniversary, a great honor to me and the nation of Islam. We stopped in Sudan and picked up the new president of Eritrea, Africa, and the plane refueled in Khartoum, and we flew into Cairo. At that meeting, I was blessed to meet Nelson Mandela, who had recently been freed, and Mbeki. They were in the conference call, and I was in the conference call, and Coltrane, Shimaranga, and Viola Plummer. We all met with him and took pictures. And when we stopped in the Sudan, we had a chance to meet with our Sudanese brothers. But it was a great trip for me and a great honor that Rawlings bestowed on me. Then at the independence of Namibia, I think it was March 21st, 1990. Look up the independence of Namibia. And at this, Rawlings didn't go, but he sent his top advisor, Kojo Chakata, and he had Chakata to take me along with him. This was a great trip. We stopped in Angola and met with the brothers there, and then we flew into Windhoek, the capital of Namibia. And I just today, in doing some archival work, found the program of that celebration of independence. The independence of Namibia. Um, excuse me, the independence. I'm looking at this date um, of Namibia was the 21st of March, 1990, and it was an unbelievable trip. Um, I remember Reverend Jackson. We were together, and the security came to take him through the lobby. There was only one major hotel, and most of us were in that hotel. I was in a guest house. And the security said, Mr. Jackson, Reverend Jackson, we're going to take you through a side door, through the back door. And Reverend Jackson, he got a sharp, witty mind. He said, the front door is where I want to go. I didn't come all the way to Namibia to go in the back door. I had enough of that in America. So, and the only regret that I have when I was there is that Dizzy Gillespie was their entertainer and Ziggy Marley. So
Wow.
my wife and I, we met with Ziggy Marley. We took pictures. We talked about his family and, Rita Marley that I knew. And he entertained. Then it was time for Dizzy Gillespie to entertain. And, I love jazz. And for some reason, we didn't go to the concert that night. And then Dizzy Gillespie ended up passing away, and
Wow.
never did get a chance to meet him. But it was a
Mhm.
great um, independence for SWAPO was the leader, uh, and it was just unbelievable. And Salmon Jomo became, the head of state.
Yes, sir.
But that's another thing that Rollins did for us, the nation. And
Hmm.
the last thing I want to mention is that when there was trouble in Africa, the Congo, with the Kabila, and there was problems. Rollins called Kenneth Kaunda of
Mm.
Zambia and
Hmm.
asked him would he escort the minister and Alpha Connery, the former president of Mali, to go to these troubled areas and see if we can stop the fighting. It was
Mm,
really bad. And
mm.
Rollins put that together for us, and we were able to meet Kenneth Kaunda, who is definitely a giant in Africa. He's
Yeah.
96 years old now and still living. And the Rollins put the thing together, and we made that trip and met those individuals.
Mm,
So
mm.
I thank Allah for my brother and
Yes,
all
sir.
he did and showed genuine friendship with the leader of the Nation of Islam, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan.
Yes, sir. And Brother Akbar, we thank you. And of course, we can't close out properly without your book that you wrote, because as you always told us, we need to document our experiences and our work, and as part of a legacy for our families and the world to see. And so you put together Africa and the World Revisited, and I wanted you to talk about that as the last thing we'll talk about, because it's very important, this work that you have put in and is still putting in.
Okay, first I want to say they cleared up that problem.
Oh, okay.
And thank
Yes.
you, technicians, for clearing that problem up. Um, in my book, the first printing, and I saw you had, Bryant, the first printing. I
Yes,
don't know,
sir.
in but both articles are in the book. There's a section where I write about leaders,
Mm.
Mugabe and some other leaders. And in this section, I did a piece on Rollins. The title of that chapter, it's on page 199 in the second printing, um, in chapter 54. It says, "When the strong man goes," and I write about Rollins being in the center of Ghana and holding Ghana together after the July 4th coup, after the December 31st, 1981 coup. He was able to hold the country together. Yes, people lost their lives. And in a coup, it happens. And you can't hold that grudge against whatever military people caused the coup all of your life. The coup happened, it went on, a democratic government came in. But in this chapter, and I hope those who want to get the book, you can go to All Africa, or excuse me, All Things Africa dot store, and you can order the book right online there. All Things Africa dot store. But I talked about Rollins in the book, and after he passed away, I went back and read that, and I thank God. I appreciate what I wrote about our brother and friend who helped us in Ghana.
Yes,
Thank you
sir.
very much.
Thank you for taking the time. And again, brothers and sisters, we were talking to Akbar Muhammad, the international representative for the Nation of Islam and longtime friend and helper of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And we want to thank him. And these are the type of things that we want to bring to you on Global View, as well as the international part of NNV News. It's important that our people out there become international, because we are truly a global people. We didn't start off in America as slaves. That's not our beginnings. That was a part of our circumstance. But we didn't start there, and we certainly are not going to be ending with our experience here and where we may be found in the diaspora. We are an international people, and this is why today's conversation is so important. So, all of you who viewed, we sorry for any technical difficulties that may have come through on the air, and we're working that out. But we want you to continue to come and view this show, and any feedback that you have, you can put it in the comment section on the bottom. Let us know how we're doing. Let us know what you want to see concerning the international, because that's all we will be talking about it in this segment of the news of NNV News. So, brothers and sisters, again, we thank you. We look forward to hearing from you. We'll be back here next week with another heavy hitting guest. As you know, we've been trying to talk to people who are engaged in what they're talking about. And certainly Akbar Muhammad is one of those people. And so we thank you. We look forward to talking to you once again. Again, this is Brian E. Muhammad with NNV News Global View.
Be a part of the force that powers truth in journalism. Your support helps to combat false media. Cash App NNV News.